Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackert,
And I'm Leonka Reina.
and this is the Hout Hustle Morning Show. Today and this week, we've been having conversations with a few people from our summit so that we can deepen those conversations. Today, we have on the show Aurora Luna Star, and we're going to talk and take the conversation deeper, especially about star seeds and clarity star seeds need in this reality, and especially in today's world. So with that being said, we're going to start with Leonka and her space weather news, and
Good
we'll bring
morning,
on
everyone.
Aurora in just a
Yeah.
minute.
Good morning, everyone. In today's Mystic Space Weather News, today is October 17th, 2024. And this week we have a supermoon. It's also called the Hunter's supermoon, and it's actually the biggest and brightest full moon of the year. Sky watchers will be able to take a look at the supermoon. It actually happened at 7:26 a.m. this morning Eastern Time, and it will continue to be bright from all the way from Wednesday to Friday. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it and experience the supermoon, which is the closest to Earth during this entire moon cycle, you will be able to do that through Friday, and hopefully you'll get some good weather for that as well. And then, of course, everything that comes with supermoons, all of the feelings and different aspects. But we also are very interesting in this time. We've hit a solar maximum. So
Mm.
NASA scientists have also concluded that we finally, in this 25th solar cycle that humans have been recording our solar activity, we have hit the peak. And what that really means for everyone here is, and I'll just read a little bit from the Bougie Healer, aka she says, we've reached the solar maximum on 10:15 NASA, and the NOAA announced that the sun had reached its peak level of activity in this solar cycle. So that's solar cycle 25. And this is when the sun is most active with its solar flares, sunspots, CMEs, and solar storms, which we've talked a lot about during this whole time, and releases explosions of light, energy, and solar radiation, which all create our space weather. This can affect satellites, communications, and power grids, and more. We've seen a lot of that as well. And all of this directly affects our consciousness and our physical bodies. So if you've been having those symptoms, those ascension symptoms, please remember to stay grounded, stay hydrated, and give yourself grace. That's what I always say. So, anyway, that is what I have for today's Mystic Space Weather News. You can always check out any of the pictures that I share and any of the comments and a little bit more further explanations for how we're feeling, and some good tips and tricks for staying hydrated and staying grounded. So, thank you and have a great
Thank
day.
And I think that the takeaway is go look at the moon tonight.
Yeah, the biggest one for
Yeah,
sure.
and just lush in it for a minute. Absolutely.
And
Well,
check out Masami's interview that we had as well. That's
mm,
very informative in how we interact with the moon. She is, and it's from the first series, and she gives us a lot of insight about how the moon directly affects our physical bodies and our emotions. And then that coupled with our solar maximum, I mean, we've got a lot going on.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the articles I also read, it says that it might give you brain fog this time round, which I'd never heard either. So maybe we'll have to watch ourselves. All right, Aurora, I'm going to go ahead and pin you up here, and we will go ahead and start this conversation. I'm so excited about this conversation. I really, Kenji Kumara hooked us up, and I just when Kenji recommends somebody, I usually pay attention. And then after you were on the show, I really just really fell in love and realized that your work was actually very different. And I dove deeper even after our conversation into more of what you do. And really what I get, and your almost your purpose, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is really about really helping star seeds gain clarity to energetically align with their ascension. Uh, I just wanted you to comment on that and say what you how you felt about that. I mean, is that your purpose here? And uh, just a reminder, you're muted too. We can't hear you now. This is what happens when things are live, you guys.
And it's always, I mean, it's a beautiful treat to be able to be with everybody live. But yes, we do have a little bit of time
There you
sometimes where
go.
people can hear and someone can't hear. Yay!
About that.
No worries.
I love the way you brought that together, Jenith, because it is a crystallization of some of what my purpose would be. Though I do feel, it's funny, it took me a long time to come out of the starseed closet, even though I've been walking around as one and or feel like I am one. I didn't want to identify and leave anyone out, because there's a lot of people that don't even understand that terminology or all the terminology that comes along with being a starseed. And as an Aquarius, right, I want to include everybody. At the same time, I would say that I am being shown information from like what feels like a future source aspect of myself. And the purpose behind it really is to be of service, because my awareness is really we're all star seeds, but everybody's here to do something different. Not everybody's here to wake up. Some people are here to be the loyal opposition. It's very easy to vilify what's happening and how people are behaving, but in truth, everyone's just healing and going home, and everyone is doing it in perfect divine order. There's nothing outside of the scope of the all that is, whether we want to say God or source. There is nothing that's happening without that awareness. So, I really, on the one hand, I do want to be of service to star seeds. And on the other hand, part of me wants to just include anyone who wants to be living their best life and or trying to figure out the formula, because everyone's got one. It's all the same, but there are different ways that feel aligned in your body, right? Someone will listen to Daryl Anka as Bashar and hear his formula and say, oh, that's going to help me get there. Other people will hear, other ideas on how we do that, Dr. Joe Dispenza or Dr. Bruce Lipton, or all the big major peeps out there doing beautiful work. And it's going to look different for each person. So I guess I'm doing my flavor of it.
Yeah. Well, and clearly, I mean, Leonka is aligned with Dolores Cannon's work. And whenever I dive a little bit into Dolores Cannon, I like it. It's good, but it doesn't seem like truly aligned with me, for example. I think it's very important for the audience and everyone on the line to really understand that whoever you're actually activated by, excited to listen to, excited to be with, that is the person for you. That is the next teacher, leader, master. Yeah, and then you'll find that those masters then get boring in a few years, and then you're off to a new master, or maybe you just integrate and add another. And I think it's really important that we pay attention to those quote signs.
Yeah, I even call them my library guides. So I feel like my guides are like my library guides, because they'll continue to put like a book in my favor, or they'll put I'll be activated by like a different piece of the whole bigger breadcrumb, right? And my question, or sorry, my comment here, Aurora Luna Star, and I wanted to say your full name because I just finished talking a lot about the sun and the moon. You integrate a lot of that learning and teaching into your work as well. Can you talk a little bit about that too? Because that seems to be something that's really activated you as well.
Oh, 100%. I love astrology. I love two parts to it. One, that it gives us a roadmap, and two, that we can jump over the roadmap, right? Because we are quantum, so we're not stuck in the truth of our astrology, though our astrology is really helpful when you're listening to. So I usually will go to, like, I have a beautiful friend that does, I have several friends that do amazing astrology. And with that, it's really powerful to then get my own download. So I'll take a snippet of an understanding of what the house means or what the planet means. I'm like, okay, so this is what my friends are saying, but what's coming through me around what's happening, right? This this is not just a huge super full moon, it's an Aries, right? So Aries is all about I, me, my, but in its ascended form, it's about the I am presence. So it's about us illuminating right now, as we're in Libra, which is about relationships, who we are as, you know, where we show up in relationships and what's really not aligned anymore, because Aries isn't going to take it. Aries is going to throw the gauntlet down and say, if you're not being, you know, if you're not in alignment with who I am, then I love you and I'm going to keep moving. Right? It's not that you have to make, again, anyone else wrong, but if there isn't alignment and if there isn't an energetic that really feels grounded in the heart, then, you know, it's time to keep moving and we don't have to worry about what people are choosing. We just have to keep choosing. And that becomes the important piece. But yeah, I love astrology. Astrology, again, is for me, it's the medicine that helps us have an awareness of what may be impacting what's happening globally. And then, of course, on our little microcosmic level. And then we can say, okay, I know that I'm a vibrational being, so I get to choose my vibration. And I have to tell you, like, the cool thing that I get to share today is that yesterday I really felt mastery because I sold my car and bought a truck all in one day. And I didn't do it at the dealership. Like, I literally sold the car to a human person that's going to look like, and I was calling in the perfect person who was really going to love, like, the car was going to be a gift for them. And then I already had my truck waiting, picked out, color, everything, the exact truck, got pre-approval on all the things, knew how much money I had to put down. And they were just waiting for me to sell the car to start the actual process. But I had it all done so that I was only at the dealership for really 2 hours. Which, if you've ever bought a car before,
that's
like,
mastery.
right? Like, you've ever bought a vehicle
Just
before,
you.
then you know that, like, 2 hours at the dealership is like an untold
Yeah.
story, right?
Yeah.
So my awareness, and I would love to say that there's auspiciousness happening, and there's Venus trine Jupiter happening right now, and this beautiful Aries full moon. It's all very supportive. But also, I had to let go for the first time of so much attachment, because I'm literally moving 2 weeks from tomorrow. And I need this truck in order to move. And I needed to sell the car in order to get the truck. So it was just standing in the center of all my inner child fear, where everything has always gone wrong in the past, waiting for the other shoe to drop, all of that programming, and saying, no, I love you, little girl, but we're going to get the truck that we desire. It's all going to happen. It's already happening. This is part of the divine design that we get to manifest and co-create and play in. And even if all the planets said no, and even if everything was a retrograde, I was just going to take the planets and turn them the way that I wanted to turn them, which I've done before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I love this so much. Jennifer and I talk about that a lot. Like, you don't have to be like subject to the retrograde, if you will. And I love that you say that you could turn the planets if you need to and you want to.
Yeah, I feel, again, you know, as a star seed, this is the gift that we're given, is an awareness that we don't have junk DNA, and we don't have parts of the brain that are useless. We have experiential programming that says that we're limited, and we get to turn on and activate all these aspects of self. And I feel like that's even what the activators do, these personalized blueprint, Starseed blueprint activators. Part of their gift is literally activating cellular structure within your being and thought patterns within the mind that allow you to start recognizing. And it'll be subtle, just so you know, at first, everyone. You know, I wish that there was this magic pill, but the purpose is the journey. It's not the destination. So while there's lots of magic in the world, we're still putting one foot in front of the other and doing the work, whatever that means for each one of us. And as we unlock these magical pieces of ourselves, we really start to identify who we are as source. And I feel like I've never had so much gratitude in my life as I do at this moment, even for all of especially for all of the shadow pieces that allowed this moment to come to fruition. I feel like we really are turning on so much more awareness. Now, again, the old paradigm comes up in me just like everyone else, just so y'all know. Like I can go to the negative like that. I joke that I'm a New Yorker, and so the negative is almost like ingrained in my root chakra. that everything's a problem and let's complain about it all, right? So the awareness is, I feel like I chose all of that on a soul level to know that we can catch ourselves, we can catch like I can say, wow, I was really in that space. I love myself. I acknowledge it. I know it's okay to be there. And I really can choose another frequency now. I don't have to stay there. I can choose to be here.
Yeah.
And even in vacillating, I feel like spirit's like, yeah, girl, let's get it done.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the embodied person that you channel, but do you think that that person is your higher self?
My awareness is that she's an aspect of my future source self. Yes. Feel like that again. I feel like I was channeling generally before to help my ego learn what it means to be a channel.
Sure.
Right? Because we all want to feel special and we all want to align to something and we all want to have all this connection and we want it to be fantastical, right? All the things. All of my stuff has been so subtle every step of the way. So when Omra came in, it was like, whoa, okay, this is different. This is a frequency I've not channeled before. And it took me time to get to know them and her, like her as an essence, but then with the awareness that the collective is a way higher vibration. So there's less of an individual expression as as we go higher in dimension.
Yeah, well, that was my awareness with it. And I wonder how much that is true for everybody. I remember Bouchard was saying that the reason that they match in frequency, that he can, bring him through is because their frequencies match, which makes me think that maybe whenever you match a frequency in that way, you are a part of that essence as and I guess as an infinite being, you're part of almost everything.
Right, I was just gonna share, right? We really are everything, and it's important to remember that. It's important to remember that in everyday life when we're facing someone who's challenged and projecting their challenge onto us. To remember when, pretty much as we can all the time, that everyone is source. And sometimes I'll say, wow, that version of me out there is really navigating something right now. Like I won't even separate the person from what I'm experiencing. I'll say, wow, that version of me, right, is really angry right now, or is really, not paying attention to how they're driving right now, or whatever the things are. And the purpose behind that is not to cord or attach or send them any, bad energy. The purpose is for me to constantly remember that this is all one. This is one, and it's hard with 8 billion projections on the planet to see yourself as a one with all 8 billion, not forgetting even Gaia and all of her kingdoms and all the star beings and it's more than our brains can comprehend in this moment. But there's a part of me that knows that that's true.
Yeah.
And I try to help that aspect of me develop more and more and more.
I love how you say that.
Yeah, to get into the we, because that's the beauty of also being here, right? No one's here to be perfect. Everyone is navigating whatever evolution looks like for them based on their karma, based on their soul contracts, based on what they're here to learn and experience and grow into. And who am I to judge what that looks like for each person? And also, I'm not welcoming abuse or challenge into my space either, right? So I know that when I'm witnessing that, and it's funny, someone brought it up to me that purchased the package from the last show that I had a one-on-one session with. I didn't realize, I didn't remember, I shared in the intro. I was walking with my dog Finn, who is my everything, because I don't have children of my own. I've got beautiful 10 nieces and nephews, but I don't have any children. And so as I was walking Finn, he was off leash, but we were approaching a person. So I told him to come next to me and I hold his harness as we walk by so that people aren't afraid of his 85-pound wolf dog presence. And sure enough, a woman came at him, at his face with a taser, with it like a zap. Yeah. And she did not touch him with it, but she terrified him with it because she was terrified and angry. I have a feeling that people have let their dogs off leash and she's terrified. And so she started to bring that to kind of feel confident in herself. But what she did was really inappropriate. And then, of course, my response was equally inappropriate.
Sure.
Not a fine moment, I will say. But the gift in that moment was coming home and saying, where is that energy in me?
Mm-hmm.
Because she only can represent something that I have inside.
Yep. That is such a
Love
huge
that.
lesson.
Yeah.
Such a huge lesson
Yeah.
for us to acknowledge.
Right? Especially as we come up to elections and all the funny business that's going to be going on and is already going on
Funny
in the world.
business.
I mean, it is. To me, I laugh because Shakespeare doesn't, I don't even know if people understand what his quote as being is profound as it is. We are really, all the world is a stage and we are merely playing a part, right? Source says, I'm going to be Aurora and I'm going to be Jenith and I'm going to be everyone on the planet. And when I'm done with that experience, I'm just going to go back to myself, right? I'm going to go back to the wholeness of the all that is. And we get caught up in the storylines of what's happening, which is the big distraction from our evolution and our ascension. I'm not saying don't vote, and I'm not saying don't participate in ways that feel aligned for you, but I will say be very, very careful of the slippery slope that invites you into places and spaces where you're in full judgment and you're getting your emotional field into a lot of anger with other people. Because beliefs are just beliefs until people believe something different. Right. And it's okay that everyone has these beliefs, even the ones that we find appalling. It's okay. It's just part of, again, that rub that's going to get us to the place where we realize, wait a second, all I need to be in this moment is my own energy vibe. I don't need to worry about other people's energy vibe.
Mm-hmm.
The stronger we get in that space, the more we're showing people how unaffected we are by the things that they want to pull the strings on, right?
Yeah.
Politicians, they want to evoke emotional response and they want us to be separate, which is why we're dealing with duality, right? There's no other party that even has a chance in this moment. It's just bipartisan in this moment. And we get to go into neutrality and say, maybe they don't want to participate in the emotional drudgery of all this.
Yeah. Well, one of the really cool practices that makes me think about is I played around with this, like with everything, not just even people. I'd be like, that's an interesting point of view. But I feel like you even take it further and it's almost like, well, they have that point of view. And instead of me just discarding it as interesting, meaning that many times that I don't align with it, right? You know, I disagree with it. It's interesting. You're actually saying, well, it's interesting. And maybe I need to like look at their point of view because maybe there's somewhere inside of me that is having this energetic fight towards this point of view. It's pretty,
100%.
really, really interesting as a journey for change. I want to, go ahead, Leon.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about star seeds, and I also want to open up the chat to see if you all have some questions. I was going to keep Aurora out of channeling today, and I think it might be fun for you as Aurora to just take callers later if you would like.
Sure.
Because I just feel like there's so much depth within your work, and I sometimes feel that when it's channeled, it's not as doesn't always take inside a person. And I'm really here, and I know Leonka is too, to really help create a better world, right?
100%.
So, but I did want to talk to you a little bit about star seeds. It seems that, you know, I know that I'm a star seed, and I think everyone probably on this call knows that they are as well. But I think there are many people that are star seeds out there that just feel isolated, weird, and alone. And I wondered if you wanted to take us into how you really see star seeds needing to be activated so that they can really be all the infinite possibilities that they be.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I want to say that one of the biggest things for most star seeds is that they're extremely energetically sensitive and they've already been beaten down.
Mm-hmm.
So we've all come in this life to clear the Akashic records completely, in my awareness. Not that we won't continue to have records, but that we are no longer working in the realm of karma as we move into evolution, because we can't take that with us into 5D. Once we get to 5D, we're in a space, and we've all already visited. So you've already been in those places and spaces, maybe with or without awareness. But in this fifth dimensional space, it's instant manifestation, and you can only do that from a place of love. Source is not going to let us instantly manifest something from a place of anything less than the highest for all concerned. And humanity's still, working through those pieces. And so in this life, we've called in the hardest stuff to overcome, because we are at the pinnacle point of shift. We're literally at the quantum field where we're ready for a leap, whatever that looks like and means. I have some theories, but they're irrelevant mostly, because none of us actually know, right? So with that, the awareness is that a star seed needs to start understanding that they need to find their weird communities, to see that there are other weirdos out there just like them, right? I worked at Merrill Lynch. I don't know if I should say that or not, but nonetheless, that was one of the most interesting places where I felt like I needed to conform. No one asked me to, but I had like 6 holes plus an earring up here, and I went down to just 2, and I let everything else close. I felt like that was part of the culture. I wasn't supposed to look different. I was supposed to chameleon and fit in. And at that point, I don't think I had even any tattoos. So I was okay playing the chameleon. I was okay doing that. And eventually, as the spiritual journey started, I realized that I wasn't being true to who I was. And authenticity is the only word I can throw out there for all of us. We need to find what aligns for our energy fields, because people will suck the life out of us inadvertently. We're not victims. We're just not. But we are conditioned and we have patterns. And so oftentimes we're allowing things that don't feel aligned to happen because we don't want confrontation. We don't want to get fired from a job, or we don't want to navigate being uncomfortable. Sometimes comfortably uncomfortable is enough. And so a lot of star seeds are stuck feeling like they're in a trap. But the trap is that, again, everything is vibration. So the minute you know that you are loved by the all that is, one of my favorite things to describe is that God, spirit, all that is, in Gaia are like a dial on the stereo. Most of the time, our stereo is tuned into anxiety and the world and everyone in our lives and all the nonsense. It's not nonsense, but we let our energy field get infiltrated by a lot of outside opinion, energy, silly. And if we can just turn that dial to tune into source and to tune into Gaia, now we're in what they call a hara line, or a tube of light, as above, so below, where we're fully aligned in our own energy field, because Gaia is already attuned to us at our highest, as is source. So as a star seed, it's about flexing into remembering that that dial needs to come back into that space on the regular. Because this 90% of what we think today and going to experience tomorrow, because we're on repeats, right? You're going to keep welcoming in the things you don't want if you're not in the vibration to receive the things you do. And star seeds are exceptional vibrational beings. They love music. They love dance or drumming. They love nature, right? Star seeds are automatically wired to go towards the things that feel good. However, again, society's kind of predicated what those things should be, right? Like, well, if you don't feel well, drink alcohol or go to drugs or go to food or go to TV. And so star seeds can get stuck in that trap of escape without actually trying to find a solution. That's what I've observed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're looking for something from their external world to soothe their internal.
100%. Why wouldn't you? I smoked pot every day for 18 years without any awareness that I was running from my reality. Making lots of money, doing what everybody asked, people pleasing up the wazoo, and completely out of alignment with my own heart, my own joy, my own beingness. I was what everyone else wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And it sucked.
What?
I can concur and I can relate. I did the same with alcohol for many, many years. And I did have that time where I worked in corporate America and, even wore the pantyhose, right? Because that's what, and the jacket. And not that that's a bad thing, but I really was. I really was lopping off parts of myself, and I say like cutting off parts of myself in order to fit in, to avoid that confrontation or to avoid staying, being the fringe. Lo and behold, being my authentic self. Imagine that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but my question, you brought up something that we had already been, and I think it was kind of, I don't know the words, it wasn't beaten down, but experienced as maybe our own traumas. Is that from this lifetime are you seeing, or is that from a cumulative of past lifetimes?
My sense is it is cumulative. Whenever I go into the Akashic, I can see pretty deeply, not just galactic. I just choose to focus on galactic because it's fun. But I can see other records. And my awareness is that especially the starseeds who are here to stick around and here to be here for the shift and who are here to help build new foundations and enact change, all of us have brought in some heavy, deep stuff. Because what happens, even the way Daryl explains it, or Bashar, which I find to be brilliant, is it's kind of like the particle that's in the field of creation, right? We have particles and waves in the quantum field, and the particles are literally the crunchy things that we are navigating, coming back into love. We can like gently crumble it into a wave, right? And so the soul monad or the soul experience can't keep the crunchy things in there for all time. It's meant to come to some sort of completion, and we've been accumulating for a lot of lifetimes. And so we agreed to accumulate so that we could literally change all time in this now moment, right? So the for instance I give is that I have killed myself in so many lifetimes on Gaia, like redonkulous, really. Like, I'm out. This is too crazy. Whatever's happening here, I am not participating and I'm leaving. In this life, I remember being 8 years old and wanting to kill myself and not knowing how. And then that feeling has come back many, many times over in my 49 years on this planet, but I've never even attempted. And I know that part of what's happening in all time space in this now is that my past lives are changing because I've made it to 49 years old without killing myself and or choosing to ignore source. In this life, I am following every detail that source is handing me, my inner guidance, my own soul's journey. And it's hard, even moving, right? So now I'm here in Sedona for 6 years. I've built this beautiful community and connections and alignment, and I'm moving into a forest, into a town of 900 people. And I'm like, wow, spirit, okay, this is different. Like, okay, I don't want to leave my family and my friends here, but I will, because I know that the guidance is bringing me towards what's meant to be unfolding, right? But before you can even hear that, it takes practice to keep connecting in, but my awareness keeps coming back to, oh, wow, I have dreams where I can see in Atlantis, I went really dark. I was Darth Vader. I lost my wife and 2 kids to like some sort of experiment, scientific experiments. And I got very murderous in Atlantis. I can see that masculine energy shifting in the past life timelines where I'm still really angry, but I'm not killing anyone anymore. I was like, hey, upgrade.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all happening now, and it's all happening to clear these timelines, because as we move into that 5th frequency, which is where my awareness is that we're heading and already experience, and even above, we need to take those particles and, like not even smash them. It's not my awareness. Everything is about integration. So it's like a gentle crumbling where we just, everything's happening through a softening. It's not happening through aggression or force.
Yeah.
It's happening through a softening. It's very powerful.
I'm glad that you brought up integration. I think that's coming into my awareness a lot. I think Jennifer and I have been talking about that. And before we had this whole thought of process of shadow work, working with your shadow. And I think that's all how the only way we kind of knew it back then. We're talking like 90s, right? So now we're really knowing, and you're also seeing this in pop culture too, like with Doctor Strange in the movie, where the antagonist actually had to integrate the other version of herself, and this is really showing up in other ways. And so, can you talk a little bit about that integration piece as you see it, as your awareness has it? Because that's really coming up for me. And I know Jennifer and I have been having a little bit of allusion to that too.
Super awesome. Yeah, I mean, integration is, again, the old spiritual way of being was like, we're going to fight, we're going to fight for everything. I'm a spiritual warrior. And now it's more like, I am a spiritual warrior. And that warrior energy is to promote love and kindness and compassion. It's no longer about having to scream at the top of our lungs to be heard and seen. Now it's really about sitting quietly and choosing a vibrational frequency. So again, it comes back to knowing that we are vibrational and our vibration has an impact. Similarly to how we experience energy outwardly coming into our field, we can make our field very strong with the frequency of love, and nothing but love will then come in. And so integration becomes this piece where instead of being mad at myself for, we're all really hard on ourselves, right? It's that perfectionist that's still playing in the back of the ego mind, like there's such a thing as perfection, which of course they're really in the 3D, not only isn't there, it doesn't have to be. Everything is just growth. So we can let that little voice say, oh, I see you, perfectionist, and I hear you. And what I'm going to do is love you right now for wanting everything to be perfect. And I want you to find a way, little girl, to know that it's okay that nothing is perfect. Is that okay with you? So, right, our parents and schools and friends and peers, and it has to look a certain way. Otherwise, you go to your room, or whatever the things are, right? Love has always been this conditional piece that I'm going to take something from you unless you behave or do or act a certain way. There's no authenticity in anyone. None. Right? You can't be authentic if something's being held over your head, a carrot's being dangled, or something's being taken away from you. How can you be authentic from that space? You can't. So whenever I watch myself start behaving from my inner child, and that's all the time, by the way, I'm just like everybody else. My awareness is that I don't usually catch it in the moment, but I usually catch it just after the moment. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to work on sitting with loving that part of myself today that believes this thing, whatever it is, so that I don't have to behave from my little girl anymore. And I can let my source soul be how I walk and talk in the world. And again, we're all going to trip, and that's part of the process. But what's important to look at is, a lot of clients will say, I can't believe I'm processing this thing again. When am I going to get to the end of it? Instead of worrying about the end, recognize that you're in a spiral. And so the next time you experience something, it's in the spiral. It's not the same thing. It's actually you as a brand new being receiving a similar frequency, getting an opportunity to clear that frequency. And even if you didn't do it perfectly, and even if you didn't clear it in that moment, if you can come back to it later and say, wow, I witnessed myself being really negative this morning. And I want to look at that piece right now that has beliefs that nothing works out for me, or whatever the fun things are that my inner child has experienced. I mean, again, I have an exceptional amount of trauma pre-verbal. So in my root chakra, there's all this information that isn't real, but experienced up until a certain age. So now as I rewire, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just sit and give myself first permission to feel whatever comes up, right? I love Matt Kahn's whatever, arises, love that, because it's the truth. if I make it wrong that I'm jealous or angry or frustrated or grief-stricken, then I'm just stuffing what needs and wants to be felt. We get to experience, I mean, the gamut of human emotion is kind of insane. It's like we have everything on the spectrum. If anyone wants to pick up Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins, I highly recommend it, only from the perspective that he was one of the first people to do muscle testing and really make it a thing. And then he measured and calibrated each emotion, shame being the lowest. Shame is below anger in calibration for measuring. And it helps us understand what frequency really is. Because, right, we can talk about frequency all day long, but what does it actually look like? Well, he measured it through muscle testing in lots of different groups, and it's super cool, a little cerebral. I like the fun stuff, but even if you just look at those pages from the book, Power versus Force, so beautiful because it allows us to remember that power is something we already are. It never runs out. Force has a beginning and an end. It needs something to feed on. If we don't give our fears food, right? Don't feed the fears. If we don't give that energy our attention and we choose to believe in the potentiality. I mean, I literally watched yesterday. The day before I put in my calendar on Tuesday, I put on Wednesday, buy truck, sell car. And I just knew, and I put it up on Facebook of all places for sale. The first person that asked and inquired bought it, done. Came down cash in hand, done. And it really can happen like that. It really can. We have all of these amazing capabilities. And part of what happens is the shadow just needs our acknowledgement, right? It's hard to acknowledge the ugly parts of ourselves. We think we're not being spiritual when we're angry. We think we're not being spiritual when we're jealous. We think we're not being spiritual. I mean, the bottom line is we're always spiritual. No matter what we're feeling, we are an aspect of source having an experience. So spirituality never goes away. You're not a bad person because you're having a bad day, right? So if you can forgive yourself, really, I mean it, like Ho'oponopono on the real, forgive yourself. Let it go. Don't hold yourself hostage by feeling a certain way or acting even a certain way, right? Sometimes we project, we don't mean to, right? As long as we can own it and or apologize and or shift, we're 100% on track for whatever our soul is meant to do here. 100%.
I love that. And I just want to add to that and kind of get your perspective on this. You know, one of the things that I think when I think power versus force is, you know, we've made all these conclusions about how an emotion is defined even, right? It's like shame is, you know, we have that word for that, but it's actually a bunch of different energies. And I think it actually shows up differently in different people. And when we can dissect it a little bit, so it's not just like one glob of something that you live with, and it's like these little frequencies. And I think that's kind of what your spiraling is, right? It's like, okay, so the shame is a little less now, right? There's a little less like charge on all these particles and things like that. So I wanted
that the shame has changed and we have changed. Those two, I think then that spiral, I think that's really, wow, that's fascinating. Thank you both.
Yeah. And I think that one of my big awarenesses is the thoughts in my head often aren't mine, for one. And why would I believe them?
Totally. It's well, and you know, it's hard because it's so funny because I woke up with a song this morning in my head. I forget it now. My dad always talks to me through music because he actually worked in the music industry. There's some R&B song this morning, but anyway, it's true. Sometimes we have a thought and we don't even realize it's running on autopilot, right? That's most of the subconscious, unconscious mind anyway, which is what we're in the process of unraveling and shifting and bringing in new belief systems. And to that end, what happens is we are upgrading our thought systems now. So again, even if it's not fully anchored, like I know I'm unlimited, but I don't always experience myself as unlimited, right? So that belief vacillates in my truth. Like, well, am I really unlimited if I didn't hit this mark this month, or if I didn't, you know, whatever, right? So I definitely play in those energies. But even going back to what you were just saying, Jennifer, around change, or sorry, shame, everyone does experience it differently. And what we're in the process of doing, the power versus force is one benchmark, but eventually what we get to do is just say, oh, I'm having a feeling. And we don't even have to make it right, wrong. We can just be indifferent to the fact, not indifferent maybe, but observe just the fact that we're having the emotion and not make it good or bad, not make it low or high. It's like, wow, I'm having this feeling right now, and just giving ourselves space to feel it without even having to say, oh, well, it's shame. We can do both. There's benefits to both. We can dissect it and say, right, I feel shame because I'm afraid that people will see me through a certain lens. Or I feel shame because I'm afraid that I really made a bad decision that's going to impact other people in a bad way, or whatever the things are, right? So there's benefits in identifying. I'll never forget, my mom spoke to my aunt about someone I had a love interest in, but he did not have love interest returned. And I told my mom about it, and she told my aunt. And then my aunt, whom I love with all of my heart, who has no filter, you know, said something, I don't remember what it was, very rich. It was like, oh, so another one failed, or something. Oh, your trip must have been terrible. Like, you know, right. In the meantime, I had the most amazing trip of my life to another country. And even though that part didn't work out, that was not my prime focus. But for my aunt, I'm the single one in the family, like my whole family. Like even 25 first cousins, I'm the only single one. So that is unique. And that's fine. But, you know, I got so livid with my mom for telling my aunt, because now I had to, like, I felt I was projecting onto my mom and I didn't realize. So I got so angry with her. Then I had to come back inside and say, why am I so angry with my mom? She didn't really do anything to hurt me, right? So again, dissecting, oh my God, I believe that I'm not as good as the rest of my family because I'm single. That programming is sitting somewhere in my subconscious, which is why I was triggered by that whole unfolding. Wow. Okay. So of course I apologized to my mom, and then she's profusely apologizing to me. And I said, Mom, no. I said, you showed me something really important and you did not deserve my anger. And I'm so sorry for giving it to you. And then I explained to her what I came to conclude, like the realization. And she was like, wow, she didn't know even what to make of all that, right? So we get to work with our shadow in lots of different ways. And I invite you to, wherever you are, start there. Don't worry about, like, I used to want to go home and be Alma with my family in New York. I used to want to just be able to hug everyone and love everyone and not have to judge anyone. And yet the second I'm with my family, I'm like 10 years old all over again, have not reached that ascension point where I'm not triggered, or that the triggers all move through me. There's always one that's going to snag me. No matter how many I let roll by, I'm like, hey, I'm doing great. And then boom. Inevitably, my inner child will come up and just be whatever age all over again, and blah, 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 right? So when those times happen, I'm working with the awareness that I can forgive myself. I definitely can forgive my family. And I can not worry about what everything means, right? So it is, again, sometimes we want to get to the point of, why did I have that reaction? Why am I so triggered? What the flip is my inner child believing right now is truth that really isn't true? And then also sometimes it's like, okay, I can just let this feeling come up and I can just let it move, right? Because again, every word has intention, emotions, right? Motion. We've been taught to stuff it and create disease out of everything, rather than feel it, allow it, and let it just be a part of who we are, and not be ashamed that we have feelings. That sometimes those feelings might be dark feelings. Okay, I'm in duality, right? So it's okay to feel all the things. I don't have to be ashamed of those feelings. And I also get to allow them to move. So I love what you said, Jennifer. I love what you said, Leonka, and I feel like there's room for all of it. Every time we have an emotional experience, we can sit and really sometimes journal about it, or just feel it, let it be. Sometimes choose to allow it to move. Sometimes really, really in the uncomfortable of all of it, just sit in it and say, God, I can't stand that I'm going to sit in this right now. It's so uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it because I know there's gold on the other side of this discomfort. And if I can just sit with it long enough, I'm going to see the eureka. Right. Again, when I got angry with that woman about my dog, I immediately came home and knew it was me. So I sat and said, what of this is me? Where is this anger sitting? What is this fear? What is this stuff that I'm walking with that she just represents in another?
And some of that's just mama bear protection, right?
100%.
Like, don't hurt my baby.
Yeah.
I think that's almost
But
an
I
innate
gave it to
reaction.
her. I
Yeah.
gave it to her. I gave it to her. I gave it to her and I
We,
wished I
we
had.
would have if it was your son or your daughter too,
But
though.
no, I feel like, again, there's reaction and there's wisdom. The reaction, like the wisdom is you can say to someone, that's really inappropriate. And I wouldn't recommend doing that again in the future. They're saying something, right? Even I announced it on the neighborhood, just on Facebook, just to let people know that this person is so scared. I didn't out their name or anything. I just shared what happened and just want people to have an awareness that there's someone walking around who might actually go through with it. I don't know. But my realization was also that, again, I am you and you are me and we are all one. And I keep coming back to the awareness that, yes, of course I'm going to protect him. He's my inner child. I always joked around that if I'm ever dropped in hell, it's going to be in a place where I need to protect Finn because I've already been bitten by a dog. Like, it's just interesting how he's been brought to show me unconditional love through everything that I experience. And this was part of that too. So yes, protect my being of my dog, but I went off on her because I was like appalled and petrified at what happened. And then I had the moment of, did I need to go off on her? I'm not sure that was the appropriate response. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure spirit is trying to show me something. How could I have handled that differently? And how can I honor the part of me that is walking around with that kind of anger and fear? So it was all the things. It really was all the things.
Yeah. Well, and I know that some of my work is anywhere where you've aligned and agreed, like for real, and not actually gone through you to look at things or, resisted and reacted just on automatic. Those are the places and spaces for us to look at.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. I
Karen has a
wanted to
question.
take some questions here. I know
Yeah.
Karen wrote one out, but if you guys also want to raise your hand, why don't we, Leonka, do you want to read
I can read Karen's.
Karen's? Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
And raise your hand if you would like to talk with Aurora in just a few minutes.
I'm just going to read it as it is. She said she wanted to ask her question because her voice is painful. So she's typing it out. Firstly, you're amazing. Lots of yes, yes, yes to what you said. What I don't like in others, I don't like in myself, etc. I find I'm angry a lot, swearing a lot. It is getting less. I feel you answering this question already. Forgive, thank you, accept, and it's okay. I'm aware of it and I'm doing my best. Okay. Okay. She says she needs to re-listen to this because she's getting more awareness as she's typing. And I'm shifting so much, need not to worry. And she says, okay, so my question really is this talk of Starseed, what they are and how you feel all are here and how you feel all here are. Let me see if I can get this better. This talk of Starseed, what are they, what they are, and how you feel all here are. She might, Karen, can you kind of clarify that a little bit more, or are you feeling into this, Aurora?
I think I think clarification might be helpful, but so my awareness is that star seeds are all of us, right? Again, we're all human, but we've got this beautiful galactic DNA. We've all had lifetimes in this solar system, in the multiverse. We've been all over the map. Anyone who's on Gaia right now is already in mastery. You just maybe are not experiencing your mastery in this moment, and that's okay. We're here to be a part of an evolutionary process, and we love drama apparently because we dropped into like the biggest soap opera in the whole like galaxy. So
I
right?
think she's the question of you said everyone here are starseeds, question mark, question mark.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Every single one of you here is a starseed. Without, oh no, why is my battery? Oh, hang on one second. Oh, wow, Spirit. I really dropped the ball today, and I'm usually so much better. Hang on one
Well,
second.
while you look for that,
Okay, thanks.
when I don't know how Aurora is going to answer this, but I had asked this of Kenji Kamara years and years ago. And I said, are there any beings on this planet that aren't from other planets? And he just kind of tapped in for a minute and he's like, no, we all are. Like, this is a newer planet, you know, and then after this planet decides to have its end, we will, you know, then be, you know, starseeds on another planet, so to speak. So that was the information I have heard about this in the past, but I'll let Aurora answer as well. I just thought, because that was the first time I had heard anybody say, no, we're all alien, if you want to put it that way. And it was, you know, interesting because I hadn't really ever thought of it that way. I think there's a part of me that feels that way myself. So, or did you hear what I was saying?
I think so. My awareness is every soul has a thing going on. So I don't know that we're like what comes next. I feel like we can come back to Gaia or not come back to Gaia. Gaia's got as many dimensions as the universe has many dimensions. We can have all different kinds of experiences. And while I do get that people get their own download on what that looks like, they could be getting a download on an individual expression rather than the collective expression. And then they also could be getting something from the astral, which is completely misaligned with truth, but they're not yet tuned in to feel the difference between the two.
Interesting.
When we go through energy in order to channel, we have to go through the astral realm. I think I talked about that a tiny bit last time, but the astral realm is filled with human emotion and fear, and then also beings who are wayward, if you will. They haven't fully chosen love, but they're not necessarily in darkness. There's all just kinds of energy, you know, there's really a lot. And there are some mischievous little beings out there that would love for people to believe all kinds of things just to see how far we'll take it. And again, it's neither here nor there. It's just in order to really be a clear channel, I wouldn't say that this person or whomever is channeling it isn't clear, but what I would say is that I know I'm speaking truth when I feel the truth in my body. My body is my measurement tool for everything. That's why I love that everyone wants vision, because vision is probably one of the cool magical powers that we can have. But the truth is, knowing is so much more powerful because your body's involved. Your body is the measurement of what's happening. If something feels fearful, if something feels, you know, love-based, you're going to know as a channel, because my belief is that we're all channels as well, not just star seeds, but channels. So, I mean, my truth is, I don't know that there's any one person in this moment that can tell us what our soul's journey is going to look like past ascension. I feel like there are so many potentialities. I would feel like it would be hubris of me to even try to know what our next phase of existence is going to be like.
Mm-hmm. And Ella commented and it said, well, why are some so not sensitive?
Everyone's here to do something different, right? It's literally, I think something that I said on the last show, but it is absolutely 100% absolutely my truth, is that we're all here with purpose. Every single person is a part of this ascension process, whether they're staying or going. Meaning, it's my awareness that a third of the population is going to not stay on the planet through all of ascension. And it's going to be through natural attrition and whatever other things are in store for humanity, that timelines can shift and who knows, and all the things. I don't go into the doom and gloom of anything because I don't believe in it. My awareness is love wins. We win. There's no, because we are power. We are love. We are light. And therefore, automatically, whatever is meant to be happening is going to happen. And we don't have to worry about the outcome. We're here to participate in it. We're not here to ignore it and just, sit back and check out all day long. But we're also inevitably going to have the next iteration of our experience, and it's going to be beautiful. That's 100% my truth. So
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to win, and every single person is an important piece, even if they're not doing what we think they should be doing. Because again, we go back into judgment really quickly. We think we know, but we don't. No matter what, we can think the good guy secretly could be the bad guy, and vice versa. And that's in everything. It's not, I don't even play in politics whatsoever because I find it to be very amusing. I play in politics where if a petition needs to be signed, if something needs a voice that doesn't have a voice, if I feel aligned in my heart to participate in something, that's the only way that I'll participate in it. But it is in this moment set up to pit people against each other.
See, I feel like everyone should get educated on the politics and really make a choice so they can choose for themselves for a greater planet. So that's my view on it.
I mean, I believe, but that's what I mean. I believe there's room for all of it. I believe there's room for all of it. There's room for people to get educated, and there's room for people to start creating new forms of government, which I think have already started. There are a lot of little co-ops happening around the world, places where people can move to, where they're, eco villages and farming their own food. I know there's one, there are many in Costa Rica. There are several different parts of the world where people have already started building those. So we can do both, because I don't believe in a collapse. I just believe in eventually something not being viable anymore. And at some point, the little ecosystems that are already being built, whether or not, I think they're all going to look different, and that's going to be the fun of it too. We're all going to just get to participate in a new way. Because for right now, even if we get educated and we vote, we're still saying that someone's right and someone's wrong. Someone gets something and someone doesn't get something.
Well, I think we're agreeing more with the point of views of what they're going to choose for our planet.
Right.
Yeah. So, I had Shara has a question as well, so I'd like to take her. Go ahead, Shara.
Hello. I'm just curious because I've been told I'm a Syrian starseed, I'm a Lyran starseed, I'm a Palladian starseed. Can there be a combination?
Yes, 100%. So whenever I do these readings for people, I normally give people 3 to 4 that are predominant in their field. And as I've spoken with for a lot of people, most people, I'm not giving you your inception point. I'm giving you the energies that you're working with in this now, because my awareness again is that sometimes like ascendeds and angelics will come forward at certain particular times. Remember 2 years ago, Jesus was all over me around Christmas time, and it was about something specific that I needed to heal. And he was like, we're going to do this together. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't want to do it. I really didn't. I was just so angry at all the things. And of course, when an ascended calls you forward, you do the work.
Right.
Or it shows up in some other way at some later date, not very far in the far future. So anywho, with the galactics, I experience them the same way. There are energies that are working with you in this moment that are assisting, and they have different attributes, right? So like there's a lot of different pieces. I remember I was speaking to, the first time Jonathan and I spoke, I picked up on something particular, and one of the traits I was sharing, it felt like it was completely like when you're this being, this is kind of the consequence of that, if you will. And it was like, right, because I am that.
Right.
And we know, a lot of starseeds can be impatient. A lot of starseeds can be over compromising and over giving, right? A lot of star seeds can just be so extremely sensitive that it's almost, you know, challenging to leave the home because of so many sensitivities, because they haven't built up their vitality to these things, right? We can acclimate to anything. Humanity is amazing. We are amazing. We don't, I mean, again, I don't want certain things for our planet, but if we experience them, we can, and Gaia can overcome them. There is a certain amount of adaptation that we can all experience, including her. She's been putting up with us for a long time.
Yes, she has.
But nonetheless, the point of all of it is that we can really come into a harmonic once we have an understanding of some of those energies that we're working with right now. It's helpful because we also start to recognize how many allies we actually have, right? And again, one of my favorite things that Matt Kahn talked about a long time ago, he's a friend, so I reference him a lot, is that he was sitting at the table in the Akashic records, and everyone's face at the table became his face.
Wow.
Right? We're often putting all of these energies on a pedestal, but even what Jenna said earlier is correct. If we are channeling, or we are connecting, or we feel connected to a certain aspect of being, of course we're related and connected to them, right? There's a reason why so many people feel connected to Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and Yeshua, because we are working with Christ consciousness, right? So, I mean, there are other, Buddha is, you call it Buddha consciousness, but it's also Christ consciousness. It's all this high vibrational frequency of remembering that we're source. And as star seeds, it's like getting different flavors of Christ consciousness. That's my favorite way to explain it.
Oh.
It's like Arcturus has this flavor, and Lyra has this flavor, and the Pleiades have this flavor. I see them as we do meditations, I see them in color. So I see Arcturus as this cobalt blue, and I see Lyra as sometimes an emerald green, sometimes a magenta. It depends on the person. I see the Andromeda galaxy as rose gold. I see Orion as a diamond colored light. So as I work with the frequencies, I get to feel the experience of each one, and you get to do that as well. It's a really neat process.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I loved how you put that. That's beautiful. Aurora's put together a great package for us, so I'm going to go ahead and share it on my screen now. And Aurora, would love for you to go through this.
Sure.
Go to the top.
Dun, dun, dun. So the one-on-one session is a half an hour, but as a lot of you already know, generally we go over that. Sometimes we stay within it, but I'm really loose on the borders of the time because if there's something to go through, we still need to talk about it. So in our session, we'll talk about those 3 to 4 energetics that are working with you right now. And I'll give you their attributes. I'll give you their information. And it's I don't want to say light and shadow as much as just when you take a very high vibration and you stick it into density, it translates different than its inception point, right? So if you have connection to Sirius, but you drop it into Gaia, not everything that you did on Sirius makes perfect sense here, because now we're dealing with duality and a whole different bag of potatoes. So you might want to have an awareness like, oh, that's why I've been experiencing that, or oh, that's that pattern, or oh, that's why I feel an affinity for something, right? So that's my awareness, is it just helps empower you a little bit more deeply on part of your journey. And then we do go into that meditation of experiencing the different colors of frequency, so that when you want to go back on your own and connect, it's like, well, how do I connect to my star team, right? So the meditation is one way. And then from that point forward, you've been activated. So you can just really kind of get into a sacred space and call them in and have the experience. As we get into the star codes, the 21-day activation, I pre-recorded just a bunch of stuff. The collective energy of it is to help you recognize the patterns that you're in. As we navigate humanity, most of what we're experiencing is through frequency. And so what happens with the 21-day activation is that you have an opportunity to start looking at yourself through a new lens, right? Instead of all the identifications that have been placed on you by society and social mores and your family, you get to decide who you are, right? And so the 21-day activation really starts to help you broaden that lens of yourself and also look at some of the patterns that you're experiencing. It's really an exploration of what's brought you to this moment and what you get to do about every moment that comes next. So I definitely invite you to listen. It's meant to also really open you up to your own awareness of your creativity and explore that. And with the personal activator, I mean, these things are very, very powerful. This one is actually part of my deck of cards. So this one isn't personalized. This one is actually for a broader audience. However, they do have a similar feel because they all look similarly but different. And so this one is called Lakshmi's Garden, and it's about opening up and creating abundance for yourself and beauty in your life. And your own personalized Starseed Activator, what you're going to do is email me and ask me to put a focus to your activator. It's my favorite thing to do because everyone is navigating change, but a different flavor, a different color of change. And so in desiring your deeper connection with source and in desiring abundance and love and all the things that you might be looking to co-create in your life, the activator works on the cellular level of your physical being and then out through your etheric being. And so my recommendation, once I email them out, it'll come with a reading. So you'll have an understanding or an awareness of what it is that you're receiving. A lot of people feel the energy and vibration from them right away. I invite you to print them in high definition at like Staples or with your own printer so that you can work with it also on the physical body. I love placing them over the heart chakra or the solar plexus or any of the chakras, sleeping with one under your pillow. It's working on you in all the different ways. Most people that I work with are similar to me in so much that vision is not their highest gift. It's sentience. It's knowing and feeling. And so if you're a knowing, feeling person, this really, when you print them out and put them on your body, it's just amazing. So that's the whole kit and caboodle.
You guys, I put it in the chat, of course, if you're listening on YouTube, we'd love if you would subscribe, but it's also in the caption down there as well.
Excellent.
Thank you. Wow, Aurora, I feel like we're just going to keep having you back and back and back because this is just such a fun conversation.
Thank you.
Yes. And every conversation has been so dynamic. I mean, I'm like, oh, and then I want to learn about this and that. And it's just phenomenal to have you share some of this stuff. Yeah.
I just joke, it's the brain of the ADHD or whatever you want to categorize it as. I hop a lot.
Jonathan, I can relate.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Maybe that's a characteristic.
100%. My awareness is it's not ADHD. It's just we really, again, if you look at our school systems on the whole, right? Not every school and not everything, but you know, the world right now wants people to be, you know, worker bees that get in line and do what they're told. The world that we're living in this moment is not cultivating art like it used to, and is not cultivating free thinking, and is not cultivating, you know, the true essence of our being in this moment. We really, it's our vigilance and diligence that is creating that. So it's funny to even put yourself in a box with a name of something that doesn't really matter, because as starseeds, we think really quick on our feet and we have a lot of gifts. And to me, being able to move your mind around a lot is actually a beautiful gift.
I love that. Absolutely. You guys, Missy did comment. She's like, I've thoroughly enjoyed Aurora's offering. It has been very powerful for me. So thank you. Thanks for your comments, you guys.
No, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I know I'm the host, but I think I need this. I'm like, this sounds, yep.
So I should have gifted both of you activators. I'll make activators for both of you.
Oh.
I know I should have done it already. I don't know why I didn't. That's very lazy on
That's
my.
amazing.
Put it under our pillows and see. We'll give everyone feedback.
Yeah,
That's
for
so
sure.
true. Yes.
Yeah.
Karen's got tons of hearts. Love listening to you. We are all kindred. And then everyone is saying so much love here. So thank you. Thank you. Oh, great insights with these messages. Thank you. I mean, just thoughts of love. I mean, I feel like whenever we get to talk about and express who we are and have these forums, it just like, let me just say this. I don't know what I would have done with my own life if I didn't have these opportunities to be with someone like you and to learn a little bit more like me.
Yeah.
Same. I mean, when I started listening to Kenji Kumara on the CDs in 2012. I mean, he was one of my mentors, and he didn't even know it. We became friends here 6 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's such
ditto.
a master that you don't like. He's so humble that, you know, when you're like, I'm like, he's a master teacher, man. And, you know, people just are, you know, he's just so humble and he's real. He's so awesome. I saw that you were doing an event with him in April next year too.
Yes, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. This is our first collaboration in this way. And I'm just over the moon that he even asked me. I mean, I was just like, oh, I'm like, of course my answer is yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be driving back down.
Well, be sure to come back and we'll have you on so that you both can be talking about it. Because it sounds super juicy.
Awesome. Thank you. That would be lovely.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. Just a reminder, we meet same time, same place every Tuesday and Thursday for our regular show. And again, the link is in the chat for this massive bundle that Aurora has put together. It will also be in the emails if you are still looking for it. And of course, if you ever need anything or have confusion about any program or anybody, or you have a recommendation on who you'd like on the show, you can always email us at team@houthustle.com, or you can DM us on Instagram. We love getting communications that way as well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye, everyone.